All right. So we're back with another episode, but first the sponsors. Head over to www.johnbartoloshow.com and go check out a complete list of all the sponsors there. I want to thank a few of them now. I want to thank Gallo Technologies for the walls behind us, Rhino Metals for the tables and every piece of furniture in here. I appreciate those guys. I want to thank Blackwater Ammunition, Galco Leather Holsters, Pulsar. Thermals are coming down in price. Go check out Pulsar. I appreciate them, and go check out some of their IR and thermals. I want to thank Wpsn Firearms as well. Appreciate them. Looking forward to the Wpsn team coming to town soon. So I'm excited about that. So a couple things. We're going to give special thanks. This is I rarely get insanely excited about an episode, but today I am. Because we're going to dive deep into anybody in the industry. This is going to be one worth listening to, selfishly. We got the brains. Sorry, John. We got the brains behind Warrior Poet Network here today.
Well, that's awesome.
We got Evan and Brandon from WPN Network.
WPSN.
Hello.
WPSN. Oh,
Yeah, forget the S.
don't forget the S.
It's a society.
It's a society.
Yeah, you're part of it. We're all part of it.
We're all part of it. So listen, okay, and there it is down below, guys. Go check it out. Watch WPSN.com. I want to dive right in.
You got it.
How did this? One of you guys pick up and start? How did this come to be? How did you guys develop the concept of this? Because obviously, I think this is genius, and I'm a huge supporter. But beyond that, how did the WPSN become a thing?
There you go. So I met Brendan. So I met John back in college,
Right.
by the way. So
That I know.
Yeah, we've known each other from college. So about 3 years into the mix, we meet with Brendan, and Brendan has a range, and John's scrolling through Instagram way too fast, and he doesn't see this one where this guy's like, hey, we got a range up here in North Georgia that you guys can use for free. And I was like, I'm going to check that out. And then met him. Turns out he's a film videographer extraordinaire. Yeah, guru. And we needed a little help with that. We knew where we wanted to take it, but Brendan had some of the legs there. So met Brendan. We courted him for about 2 months. Brendan, you can throw in some color.
2 months? You gave it up easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a mutual courting. I was courting them as well.
I was like,
I was into him a little. So 2 months.
Yep.
Yeah. No, but so they knew where YouTube and kind of the censorship was going.
Sure.
And we both kind of had similar ideas, and we just started talking about them. And I thought that these guys kind of had it figured out in terms of on-screen presence, marketing, but they weren't immune to kind of where the industry, or where media
Where it
was
was going.
going. And
Yeah.
so I thought their talent, and then I just thought they were, because it was a society versus like, no offense to other Guntubers, but they're just their name, or this is more of a movement.
Inclusive. We want to be inclusive.
So I thought it was a good place to do more of a streaming service.
Yeah, and
actually
he had the visual look down. Our brand, we want it to be clean and welcoming and a little bit different than the rest. We want to have a presence that's e-commerce. We're big there. We want apparel, but visually, videography wise, we needed a boost, and we needed to get to the next level. And Brendan was part of that.
I've just been very, just almost like I'm big into guns and just ashamed of the production level in the gun industry.
Oh my God.
And so I was like, guys, if you just had somebody such as myself that could actually produce content with your guys' talent, we could be unstoppable. That was kind of the pitch, basically. So I stroked their ego while...
Well, you had a super high bar to hurdle in the gun industry, right?
Well, that's how we actually started, me and John. And part from my side, I was a brander and marketer, and I was like, if we get John out there in front of the camera, of course he's going to get a crowd, but then we actually do some real design behind the scenes. And to the credit of our industry, they've come up a little since we've started.
Yeah.
But it was just bad stuff. Everything was blood splattered and tattered, and graphic tees that only had big boob chicks on them and stuff like that. So
well, the industry has been very slow to adopt any modern techniques or any, we can beat that over the head till blue in the face. But there's a bigger, what's great about what you guys are doing, and this is why I love the network, is one, there's so many paths already laid out that can show you how to be successful at it, right? Like we have Netflix, we have, Disney Plus, we have HBO Max, we have all these different streaming networks. The gun industry, which I'm sure you figured out real quick, not only has crappy production value, but is so gimmick based. It's like, when in doubt, we'll give away a pouch. It's like,
hey, we fall prey to that too. We gotta think outside the box. And
you guys are innovators.
Well, yes, we still want to give away a knife or two, but yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, it's one of those stigmas that follows the industry around. Now, you developed the concept of all this, and are you surprised, especially you, Brendan, are you surprised that the industry is so slow to catch up? Like, why it's taken this long for, I know there's some people, there's a groundswell that are starting to kind of jump in, and we're not going to get into that, but are you so shocked that no one else has jumped in this?
Yeah, I'm super surprised just because the nature of business is if someone does something good, you expect to have a lot of copycats very quickly. So I fully expect that we'll have competition, which I would welcome. But I'm surprised that basically we're approaching a year in and there isn't really, there's other sort of competitors, but not really.
Not really.
So I'm
well, it's the
surprised
storytelling.
about that.
I think we're good at telling stories.
Yeah, I wouldn't call if you're getting at Recoil TV, I think we both agree.
Right.
We wouldn't call them competition. They're a disaster. They're a hot mess. They don't even know what they're doing over there. Yeah, and you could roll through two grenades through that building and it wouldn't make a difference. They're a disaster, and they know it. And it's what is it? It is what it is. And part of it's because you guys are doing such great stuff with your own programming, with your own production stuff. There's too much over there of just the QVC Glock 19 review stuff. That's totally a cheeseball audience. I don't think they have 5 listeners. I'm not sure they have 10 people at their own birthday parties. So
there's only a few YouTubers who are pushing the boundaries on that and trying to get outside of our own little huddle. But yeah, the reviews are getting a little boring for some. You want to see people like John. You want to see him move and jump over things and travel the world. And we knew we could bring a more palatable view of this industry to the masses. And we want families in there. We want wives hanging out with their husbands and actually enjoying the stuff too.
I think we're more likely to have competition from established streaming services. So meaning like I could see Daily Wire deciding that they want to, like they actually are, they're going to be doing film and
they're going after
and TV shows. And I could see them saying, oh, maybe the 2A community is a community we want to go after more. Or maybe, I don't know, some of these other companies that are woke right now, maybe they figure out there's actually half the country that would be customers if they...
Well, it's coming. Once we win the house back, it's coming. But it is interesting that you don't see, because I believe for a long time, as you both know, because I know you listen, that paywalls and going in that direction is the way to go. It's unequivocal. You have to go in that direction. I'm shocked that more companies, and I guess maybe, Tom Taylor opened my eyes to this. He said, from 6 Hour, he said, do we want to look to some of those entities? Like he brought up the NSSF, like, do we want to look to them to be the entity to come up with something like this? And maybe I'm wrong in my thinking. Maybe we don't, right? Like you said, maybe it comes from...
We were courted by some big names right at the beginning of this, and they were like, oh, can we jump on board? And we, it wasn't a fit. But, we do have opportunities where we may be able to produce a show for a specific entity if the fit is right. So we're looking at all those things because, this thing can scale infinitely. You can spend $1 billion or $4 billion if you want. So that's one of the things that I found the barrier to entry to this. We jumped in both feet, swimming right in the deep end. But yeah, it's expensive. Producing episodes, absolutely expensive. So that's one of the things. You got to have the storytelling. You got to have the know-how, the people, and then be able to execute. So
now, how do you know what's going to make sense for the network in terms of like, when you're looking at what you want to produce or what you want to put out there, what's the crazy side of the spectrum? Like we don't want to go there versus what makes the most sense? What fits?
Well, I don't think we always know.
No. it's like, what are you interested in, first of all? And then we have a round table where we beat it all up. An idea will come out of John or Brendan or I, or any number of the other cards we have on staff, and then we realize, oh, that's a bad idea most of the time. But every now and then, like, yeah,
the nice thing about being a smaller company that doesn't have a board and things is that we just have a crazy idea, and it's like, let's just make a pilot, and people either love it or it's going to be terrible, and we'll just move on.
Right.
Well, I said years ago, follow me on this, I said quite a few years ago, and people in this room know this, I said, there's no way this whole Instagram, I'm going to post a cool kid picture in my Boperator uniform, in my costume, as I like to call it, and I'm in front of my ficus at my house, and that's going to make me look badass, and that's media. Like, we're better than that, right? So, to your point, we're better than that, right? You know, so I looked at it as that can't continue. Like, I knew in my head you know what I'm saying, Evan? Sure, 4 years ago, that couldn't continue.
No.
There has to be a better end to this, a better end game. And then as streaming really the last 5 years has taken hold, we kind of saw this arc at the same time. And I said, paywalls, and with cancel culture coming in, I said, this is absolutely the 100% the medium it has to go. You know, it's about marrying what you love doing and what comes natural to you. And I always thought one of the most underserviced things in the gun industry was the people, the stories of the people, telling the stories of the people. I used to sit around and I'd have these great conversations with all these people you see on the wall, you see in here, and I'm like, why the fuck are we taking pictures in front of ficuses trying to look like we retook Omaha Beach when we have these great stories that people want to tell, that people in this room want to tell, but we're not telling the stories. We're just like, oh, here's me, here's my tits, here's this. That's, you know, and it's so limiting and it's so short-sighted, and it's really not indicative of what this industry is.
It's not. There's a lot of teddy bear men that are dangerous guys, but most of the time they're just really nice husbands and fathers and stuff, and we wanted to showcase a lot of that. But yeah, they're I mean, like John will tell you himself, you know, he's almost 40. He's still running around in the suit. You know, some of that's LARPing and some of that's, you know, he was who he says he was. I'm just a visitor in this industry, and I love it. You know, I did martial arts back in the day, but it's been 20 years. They made me fight Diego last summer, which is not
Kung
fair.
Pao.
Yeah, that was not fair. But to your point, we have to evolve and go beyond that, and it can't just be guys dressing up and playing soldier. It's got to be more than that. And that's where we wanted our message to really get through. And then picking great characters to tell stories about. So it's been fun.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them, and that's the thing that's was always frustrating to me, because I would go around the shows and I would sit and I would spend time with some of these folks, and I'm like, geez, this is like a great story, and I look at their Instagram and I'm like, this is horse shit.
Right.
Like, you know, I'm like, so, you know, but it's one part, the platform's limiting, right? So we got to be real about that. Yep. It's opened up a little bit since, but it's a very limiting platform. And then you have the censorship that comes in YouTube. So this is a logical move. This makes sense. And I think over time, the only issue is going to be getting the content, getting the stuff on there that people want to see, and developing, developing the programming.
And Brendan, you could talk to this as like, we have to re-educate like why we have a paywall at all, because for some people it's like this should be free, and we know it should be free
because they're all from YouTube.
But
originally,
you know, it is millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of just equipment before you even get to personnel, and then we have to tell people, hey, you're really helping us achieve something. We're actually going to be able to compete against these big companies, but they've got the know-how and the dollars to back it. So, but
I don't have to tell you, Evan, from a branding perspective, there's going to be a lot of people that have these Instagram personalities that are going to be out in the cold because they can't. Like I had a conversation. I'm not going to name. I don't name people per se unless they're here to defend themselves. Like I had a conversation with Brendan about someone in the industry, and it's like there's nothing there. You know what I mean? How many people do you look at, you know, when people, like, what are we have to design something around you for it to make sense. You know what I'm saying? Because there's nothing there. And they're not understanding, a lot of these people in the industry, that, you have a cool page, but there's, what are we going to do with you?
Right.
Well, that's what I give it up to John for. He is really good about surrounding himself with people. He's like, hey, I did videos, and I've basically taken it as far as I can go. Now you do it. Or like with Evan, you know, he early on was like, knew that Evan was talented in marketing. A lot of these guys just want to do it all themselves. and they're never gonna go anywhere with that. So
It's a dead end.
Well, and me and John and I have talked about it. It's like, oh, okay, you're out of the military. You want to build your brand. We get it, but at some point, you're gonna have to share the wealth. You got to grow laterally as well as the Evan.
Of course,
the Evan Temple show is not going to really work. And even when we started this, John and I, John founded it, and he was talking about what do we want to call it, and I was, not the John Lovell show. Let's call it, and Warrior Poet Society came out of that. We made the branding and went from there. But inclusivity.
Nothing wrong with the John named show.
No, we'll do the John show.
No, how dare you? The nerve.
Growing something where people can feel like they're part of something bigger and then competing. But that's what the left is good at. They're really good at getting together, having the same voice, spending their dollars on the same thing, and slowly taking ground. And I think that's where we're a little bit fractioned because everybody's trying to do their own thing.
Well, part of it is, too, in our industry, we're guilty of being the same as the left. We're very much an industry where it's, if somebody else has it, that means they took it from me. And that's the mentality of a lot of people, especially in the Instagram culture. It's like, Bobby down the street has a shiny new bike. Fuck him, and that's my bike. And that's it in a nutshell. It truly is. And you see it in the tactical communities. You see it in the gun community. And I've said it 100 times. And you guys know, one of the passions of mine has been I sit with many executives in the industry, and I'm like, you guys are killing the industry because you want to make it about one singular product.
Gosh.
You continue down that road of making it about one singular product, you're going to lose every single time. Nobody cared about skateboarding and rollerblading until it became what?
Right.
Action sports, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it became action sports, a whole genre, right?
Sure.
You start calling the defense industry the bodybuilders, the nutritionists, the fitness people, the military, it's tailor-made for us, the martial arts industry, the UFC. You start to pull all those things in, all of a sudden it's a pretty big group, and you don't want to alienate that voting block, and you don't want to hurt that voting block, and you don't want to upset that group of people. But if we keep thinking about making it about, it's about, the Glock 19, or it's about some fucking cheesy review on a grassy knoll. Give me a fucking break.
No, I've said this with Brendan can vouch for this. It's like, obviously we can start there and expand from there, but there's got to be we'll need nature shows. We'll need travel shows. We'll need cooking shows. Can we tailor that towards guys? Sure. But we want to make it so where the wife might want to sit and watch too. Otherwise, you're going to only get a small subsegment, and it'll be like a Vice or something. Vice is trying to do that. But I don't think they're doing it well.
It just comes down to everybody needs to open their eyes and understand we need to entertain.
Yep. Nailed it with that
dangerous word, right? We need to entertain people. People have to be engaged, and they have to be engaged, and they have to be engaged. And you're not going to entertain. If you continue, like you said, what'd you call them? The Guntubers, right? It's a great term. I'm going to steal that. The Guntubers, there's nothing against those guys. You need a place for that, but that can't be your model long term. That's not a long term model.
That's right.
It's a short term model, and it's very short sighted. So my fear is the next wave that's coming in is you're going to see a scramble at the Instagram level, at that level, where people are going to try to figure out, oh shit, I have to do something, right? Something has to be done. Because I said this to someone, a very prominent female in the industry. I said, you're an Instagrammer. You have this big following. Shoot guns. You're on Fox News tomorrow. How are they going to introduce you?
That's right. What are they going to...
What are you?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh my God, you just shattered my whole world. Because how are they going to introduce you? Are you Susie Instagrammer?
Yeah. The
LARPer?
Gun model.
Guntography? You have to have more.
Say that about me.
You have to have more depth to you than that. There has to be more. I've evolved in this business and done every job there is to do, held every title there is to hold, and done a lot of different things in this business. I ultimately decided to do a podcast. I'm like, look, this is what I enjoy. I enjoy sitting and telling the stories and talking. I still keep my toe in the water by consulting, but there had to be more.
Sure.
And there was nobody filling that void of having the conversations with people around the industry and people understanding how big this industry really is. We're so quick to say, well, it's tactical and hunting.
Right.
But you just hit the nail on the head. It goes so far beyond that.
Way beyond that. And everybody's coming out of the military, so they have that one singular mindset. They're like, how do I showcase my badassness to the world? and everybody's doing that. You can't all do that at once, so you got to find an angle beyond that.
I'm going to put the costume on. I'm going to go in the backyard and I'm going to run around and play G.I. Joe. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, that is a very short-sighted approach. It's not long-term. Listen, how many personal trainers do you see in a gym over 50?
Uh-oh.
How many people do you see on a range over 50? There's not many.
No. Well, John and I have even talked about that. Like, how many grays do you get in the beard before you're old school, you know? So, you know, we're saying, hey,
and here's the key word. Everybody doing it's retired in some way, form, or another.
Big time, yeah.
So it's going to be interesting when this plays out at an Instagram level. You know, you both know what I'm talking about, Evan. You know what because you both study this. You're going to see a lot of people scramble to look for what I call mid to long form. Long form would be a little longer than this, but I'm saying that mid form to what do I do? And a lot of people instantly jump into that review game, right? Because, okay, I'll go 7 to 10 minutes. I'll do reviews. But that review game's already saturated.
There's a formula, yeah.
Yeah, there's a formula. So you can't have everybody do podcasts, right? So because, look, it doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And not for everybody. This isn't for everybody. Believe me. You see this operation. It's an operation.
Big time.
And it's competitive. So you have to have an operation at this scale if you're going to really compete, and you're going to compete for a few years. At the Instagram level, though, I'm going to be getting the popcorn and watch the scramble.
You're ready? When do you think that's going to hit, you think?
I think it's starting now.
Yeah.
I think it's slowly starting now because I'm sure you guys are getting messages. Hey, I want to do something with you guys.
We wanted it to be somewhat. I think John used the phrase an arc for our industry. If there is people that are
a lifeboat.
Ready to move to the next level or do something collaborative. And
But you're going to get a lot of people that are going to want to solicit you guys to create something around them. And that's where it's going to get interesting.
Yep. Yeah, and I think they're going to, a lot of them, the ones that we would want, and this is where it'll get interesting, the ones that we would want will wait probably till it's too late. So, like, there are people that we think we could make shows around.
Yeah.
But they want $20,000 an episode. Yeah, they think they're worth that.
They think they're worth more, and maybe they are.
They probably are.
But then they're going to wait till we have tons of shows and YouTube is dying or Instagram is saturated, and then what?
Well, that's one of the cool things where we are now is like you can jump in on the ground level. Now you got to give a little bit to get a lot, but you know, down the road, once everything's spooled up, it's going to be hard to get in.
Oh, I'd love to be in your DM box or inbox when this starts happening.
Well, you
because
should have seen it when Parler, the day Parler got taken down. It was nuts.
Yeah.
I don't need it. I'm famous on TikTok now. I don't need it.
Right?
I'm making moves on TikTok.
We haven't done well on TikTok.
I showed Brendan.
We got a TikTok, bro.
So we have someone that could handle. This is another
That's another podcast.
The only reason I'm saying this is because we're talking about hiring some 21-year-old to handle TikTok.
Right. Well, I tried to talk John into doing that dance thing on the Instagram dance thing. He didn't want to do it. I'm gonna make him do it.
I just been putting the clips up there, and I get killer reaction.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So
I don't get it. So
fame.
I'll hire someone to do that.
What does it mean?
But it is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it, and I can only imagine. But that's the problem in the production. You know, like how many do you produce? Like you said, there's not enough lifeboats. It's like the Titanic going down, and you know, there's people jumping on whatever is floating. So. You know, it's going to be interesting, but you're right. It has to be a combination of a built model and a built model with some sophistication, you know.
It's got to get way more sophisticated as we go on. I was talking about that yesterday. Every bit of automation that we can leverage and technology has to.
Is this sophisticated enough for you?
Well, you know.
Hey, yes.
You know,
a couple more microphones.
A few more mics, maybe 6 more cameras.
Yeah, the samurai sword on the wall, that'll work.
It needs to be 360 cameras so that you can do the Matrix thing.
Or maybe we get LCDs all behind us. We'll film it like The Mandalorian.
He had me at Matrix.
See, I love that you're such a Star Wars buff.
Well, you could ask me any question. I probably could answer it, and that's not me being cool in front of my friends.
We should have had like a trivia off competition.
I'm dangerously good.
Did you tell them our Wi-Fi at the office is the Death Star, and our password is it's a trap with a capital I, all one word.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
You know, there's going to be people outside of our office now.
Yeah, we got to change it. My bad. Just
stealing Wi-Fi.
Ignore that.
Oh my God.
John's always on to me about like safety protocol, so I just Sorry, John.
You dropped all the passwords.
The Wi-Fi password has been breaking news here on the show. Answering the difficult questions. Now,
Yes.
when you having built what you guys have built and it going to the next level now and understanding what that's going to look like, what's going to be difficult is sifting through what you have and figuring out, okay, this is going to plug in here, because the biggest thing is going to be ease of use, channeling, how you're going to figure out how you're going to release your programming, and making it easy to function. Like I've said, one of the big disasters of Recoil TV is like you don't know where anything is. It's kind of like you got to get lucky and maybe you click on a halfway decent video if there is one. You guys have it set up and you understand that. And that's one of the things.
Experience is
Yes,
a huge
the user
thing.
interface.
And I used to be a user experience like guru dude back at my old job, but it's a real technical challenge to grow an infinite library and make it easy to find. So, I mean, kudos to Netflix and all them that have gone before us. But they've patented all those interactions too. So we have to, you have to be careful on what you build from here on out.
Now, the tough thing down the line, as we kind of go through these evolutions and these changes, is going to be as you figure out programming wise, and we talked about this, when it's time to step into movies, when it's time to step into larger form production. Series are obviously a major step, are movies in what I would call truly entertaining, right? Pure form entertainment. Is that something that you're looking at now too?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely me and Brendan want that more than anything.
Right.
So I would love to drop a movie before
We're
terribly
close.
long. Yeah, so in your brain it's like 5 years away, but we're just...
It's not 5 years away.
No, we're going to do it. It's going to be like a battle scene, and I rise from the ashes, tattered.
Well, he's talking about produce. But there is options to buy
Yeah.
content.
Well, get into the production first.
Well, right? See, I was painting the picture.
Paint the picture.
It's like the edge of Mars. It's a war-torn world. I'm there.
I mean, you have to be able to produce something like Ghosts of Mars. I mean, that's not that exciting, right? I mean, maybe we could find Ice Cube somewhere if he's not woke.
Oh yeah, let's get Ice Cube.
We could figure that out. But I think that's not far off.
Right.
I don't think that's far off.
No.
Especially now, like if you are familiar with how The Mandalorian's filmed and how some films are done, you can do a lot.
Yes.
Okay. With substantial investment, of course, but you can, if you do it the right way once, you can film a lot in those types of settings. And I know, Brendan, you know what I'm talking about. Without giving them too much of the syrup, it's not green screens either.
No.
And it's not blue screens. It's a whole different way of doing it, and believe me, I looked into it in here, but it's a little bit much for a freaking podcast. I don't need like birds chirping and freaking shit flying everywhere in here, or mountainscapes. But I think you'll find that as that technology keeps coming up, you're going to have the ability to do quite a bit. And I'm excited for what the future holds and how you guys unfold it. Do you walk around? So we didn't have SHOT Show this past year, so it's hard when you walk around this SHOT Show. It's got to put you guys in a funky position, right? Because you're not quite the competition for everybody, but everybody's looking at you guys like, how do we do that?
Yep.
Yeah, and they probably should try. They probably should go for it.
They should try.
But better than that,
Who do you think's the best suited to try from a manufacturing standpoint? We could pick on them for a minute.
Oh, manufacturers. You mean like Daniel Defense?
Oh, man. I think the problem, at least when...
What do you think?
Without saying too much.
Say it.
The problem with a lot of the people that have a physical product that is their primary focus is that's their primary focus. And so
It should be, yeah.
If I think a lot of them could do it if they could separate them and say, we're going to make a really good streaming service and not have the fulcrum
Never
be
happen.
their product. Right.
No.
So
that's
why I think we will be better probably for a while, just because they haven't figured out that it can't just be about their gun.
I've sat in too many rooms with too many owners, and I know Evan, you've walked the shows, and you've seen it.
Sure.
Too many rooms with too many owners that they always want to revert back to the QVC type format.
Yep.
That's what they want to revert back
right.
to, and they get nervous. So when I come in, or you guys go in, and you say, "Well, listen, I'll take an hour-long meeting. I'll sit with you guys. I'll give you guys some insight." They walk away. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Like you saw incarnations of Glock of like Gunny Time TV, certain things like they want to do it. They lust at. They're like, okay, I want to do it, but they want to make the product the star.
Yes,
and that becomes part of the problem. And I think you're absolutely right. I think you guys are better suited because you're on the outside. But I ask because it's interesting. How manufacturers think, well, we got to get a piece of that, or I got to be involved in that.
Yeah.
And you almost have to say to them, yeah, sure, you can sponsor the channel, we could do something, but you got to stay the fuck away because they're all trying to wet their beak.
Well, there's dollars to be made there if you do it right. So I don't. So I get it, but
the smartest thing they could do is take their huge marketing budgets.
There you go.
And say, I don't know, pick what's a brand. Give me a brand.
Sig Glock.
Sig.
Pick on
Sig.
Sig.
They're gonna want a show that is like super focused on the gun, right? The smartest thing they could do is say, here is, I don't know, $100 million.
Yeah.
And we're gonna make a super BA Game of Thrones sponsored by them.
Yeah,
but it has nothing
powered by SIG, powered by
nothing
Glock.
to do with
Right.
As you know, I have many friends at SIG. I'm wearing the sweatshirt. I have many friends there and many marketing directors there, Jason, hi, that are friends of mine. And I've said to them, the best thing you could do right now is go out and buy cops. I said, go out and buy cops and just air your ads in between.
It. That's right.
Gonna do?
That's right.
That's what I said. I said, it's available right now. Nobody's picking it up. I said, or if you want to go a little bit cheaper, because John Langley might want a lot of money. Right. But I said, I would produce a police show.
Yep.
That's what I would do.
For sure.
In 30 seconds. And I'm giving away a little bit of like, I guess the private conversations I have with people, but that's what I would have done.
Right.
Yep.
And I said, I would do it now. I would do it yesterday.
Right. Yep.
Well, other companies like Land Rover and like Porsche, these other companies are gonna be like, oh, there's a spot here, and we're gonna say yes to them. They're gonna be like, hey, what if we do a around the world expedition by boat? And I'll be like, and we'll say yes, But it's time for our own industry to step up and produce something worthwhile,
worth watching.
We'll go for it. We'll go with them.
Yeah, I mean, and it would be great from a manufacturing standpoint if they came to you and said, "Hey, we can give $300,000 towards this budget, but it features, it can feature the product, right? Like that's not unreasonable." But when you walk around these shows, my brothers, and I love you both,
yes.
These guys are licking their chops to wet their beak, and they're dying to fuck it all up. And you just can't be a sellout. Right. Like, in those boardrooms, they're sitting around like, we're going to give them money, and they're going to put,
Well, what's funny is they've gotten away with a lot over the past years. They just send out a few guns, and then they get hundreds of hours free advertising. So they're used to getting a lot for a little, and now they're saying, hey, you want to play with these big guys. The reason they own the world is because they put the money right where it needs to go.
100%.
Yeah.
And they're big into being the guys who are like, we sent you a muzzle brake, Evan. We own you.
Right. 3 years of muzzle brake.
We sent you a pouch. We own you.
So my question for you would be, do they need to do anything differently right now?
That's a really good one. So I agree with the premise that they should focus on their product, and they should focus on, if I was them, and there's two paths, I think, for manufacturers, and I'm talking about the Glocks of the world, the Daniel Defenses, the FNs, the bigger entities. Stop doing cheesy one-off videos, okay? What I call mini commercials, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like these, like you saw the Walter one. I'm sure you saw it, right? It's like all of a sudden it ends with like this shooting, and this guy's like mega prepared, and like, okay, like stop doing those things because they suck. Okay, first they suck, and second, they're not furthering your brand. They're basically SHOT Show one-offs, right? So that's what I call them.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're not even entertaining. You're going to watch it once and you're going to put it away, okay? Right. It's not something you're going to watch multiple times. What I would suggest to them is you have this budget, right? You've given away, say, let's use easy numbers. You're giving away $100,000 in guns.
Sure.
You have $100,000 in a marketing budget. Sorry to insult anyone. We're going to use a simple round number.
Offense,
but you have those two things.
True.
What I would do is I would say, I want to start coming in and producing or supporting something like the Daily Wire is doing or like you guys are doing. But here's what I want, guys. I want a pre-roll, a mid-roll, and an end roll on it. Okay? And that's how I want to buy into it. And just like you would sell a movie, you're selling rights to that film or to that production. Okay? And you say, that's how I want to do it. And that would go far further than them. And they have to look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture would be, Warrior Poet Network, WPSN gets that for 6 months exclusive, right? And then we can air it onto our channel. It would be less headaches for them, less stress on their production team, less. Now, the only downside is you don't get the choppable clips from a long form movie type of thing. But there are some entities out there that offer unique opportunities. Take, for example, Sig's Hour with the Academy offers unique opportunities there. Take, for example, something like Daniel Defense, the manufacturing capabilities, what they do there offers a unique perspective, like an in-house video series that shows the manufacturing process of their firearms or shows how they do things without giving away the baby batter, but, shows some of that stuff.
Yeah, little hints.
Yeah, little hints. Something like that would be intriguing to a lot of people in the industry.
We thought about doing tours of various places, but you got to make it more entertaining than that. That's where the person
you have to have me host it.
Yeah, that's right. There you go.
You'd have to have me host it. No, but seriously, I mean, you'd have to have it thought out.
You know what a great show is?
What's a great show?
That you would star in.
Oh, wow.
Is I would love to have a reality show.
Okay.
John just popped up over there. There's so many TVs in here.
There's Jay Cutler.
A reality show where we're just a fly on the wall as you're destroying all these companies' marketing directors.
They're fucking horrible.
But I'd love to film that interaction.
I wonder how some of them have jobs.
Well, they won't after this show, so.
Yeah, I wonder.
But wouldn't that be a fun show?
Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow.
You just walk into, I don't know, I'm just
Is
picking
this
on,
like
but
restaurant rescue for the gun industry?
It's the profit.
Right?
And you just go in there and blow them up, and it's like that's the episode is this week is Winchester, and you're telling them why they're wasting all their money.
That again.
Well,
we should do that show.
I would do it tomorrow. Get the agreements from the companies.
Let's do it.
It's easy to do.
That's the trick there.
It's easy to do. Okay, so I'll put a disclaimer out there. When I see the stuff that's done around this industry, we all know why it's done. So I had a very prominent marketing director in the industry say something to me once, okay? And they all call my phone. And he said, John, got to understand something about marketing, high-level marketing. Rinse and repeat the same idea. With a little change, you'll always have a job.
Oh, my gosh.
Present a brand new idea, and it fails, you're out of a job. So a lot of marketing directors, and I'll name names, I'll sit here and name them all. What they do is they sit in a room, and I've seen this 100 times at the corporate level, and they say, I just need to hang on for 3 more years. Little Bobby Sue has 3 more years of college, and I just got to get through this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're so afraid. So you know how long it took this industry to adopt Instagram, right? To know that it's viable, right? But they still refuse to hire someone to run their media in a way that it makes sense, right? So they bring in their retarded nephew that will run it, right? And they'll say, oh, we're going to give it. So I've sat with companies, very large companies, that I've said, so you mean to tell me your largest following is on Instagram and Facebook? Yeah, that's what they'll say. Okay, yeah, proudly, we have 5 million there or whatever. And Evan, you know what I'm about to say. I'll say, so who manages it? Oh, we got to get him in here. It's the 21-year-old Toby. And it comes in, Phil. And he comes in and I'm like, so something that you value the most and you're the proudest to say, we have 10 million people.
Right.
You have a $35,000 a year or $40,000 a year flunky managing.
You can't do it. No, it's got to be world class. It really has to be top tier, and then you have to have long-term strategy. Yeah.
And you have to have a repeatable process. Sure. So people, it amazes me, Evan, that people will hang their name on the wall and they'll bet their life on saying, we have a great marketing strategy. We're going to do a range day.
God bless. No, I say the same thing. Now, in the videos, I'm super goofy, but when it comes to this kind of stuff, this is what really gets me going. How do we turn something into a wheel that's replicatable, but then it grows laterally and you have long-term success, but without being boring? And then, you have to have a creative director who knows what he's doing. You have to have somebody like Brendan who knows what he's doing.
Evan,
and they're not cheap.
I had an in-depth conversation with a brand. The guy makes tons of money. So, John, I make tons of money. I said, I'm happy for you. I'm proud.
Yeah.
Glad. Okay. You're rich. And he said, but if I walked in a room and I could name the brand for you, I will offline. But
Sure.
he said, but if I walk in a room, 10 people don't know my brand. I said, because you've never built a brand.
You got to build a brand, babe.
You got to build a brand.
And building a brand isn't as simple as everybody thinks too. You can't just make T-shirts and hats and then throw them in every box and ta-da, brand. It's not that way. Easy.
You have to build a brand, and there's only one way to do that. Hard work, the right people.
It really is.
It really is. And that's the problem, is too many. So when I get the reputation that, I slice and dice marketing directors, and I do, and I know a lot of people love that when I do it on air, and I don't do it. I try not to name names because if they're not here, sure. But obviously people can figure out that I bring like-minded people on the show to talk. It's because you make it so fucking easy to do it. It's, when you get up there and your golden plan at the USCCA is, we're going to do a pouch giveaway, guys. Don't worry. We're going to give away a hat and a pouch. And that's our big plan in the fall. Sure. We're going to murder it. Come on.
One of the things I love we did last year is we brought on an investment group. And we said, hey, a lot of our industry doesn't know where to put their money. And so we partnered with Centaur Capital, and we told people, hey, if you want a company that you can invest with that actually give you returns, it's something different, And now they're asking us, they're like, well, what can we do to reciprocate? And I said, hey, why don't we give anybody who invests with you over $100,000 like access to the network for free? Different things than
a pouch.
Yeah, a pouch. Come on. I mean,
a hat. It makes us look so fucked up.
We just did our million subscriber giveaway, and we gave 1 million pouches away. But some of the grand prizes are a trip through Europe. We're going from France all the way. You need to come on that, by the way. 2022, France all the way through Austria. And we're going to do. When we went to Kenya, the people that came on the trip, there wasn't a lot of operators. It was families, it was kids. And it's a safari, and they're seeing the whole show get made. We made an episode of War Poet there. It's got to be a little bit different. And, of course, everybody's got their wheelhouse. They're used to the same kind of thing. So, for sure, try that. But after a while, know where your limits are, and then hire somebody who can take it to the next.
Nowhere is Nike giving away pouches. Nowhere is. You see, it starts to become gimmick marketing. Right. And what the reason I slice up marketing directors for that reason is because you're not thinking. You're not using. It takes no thought whatsoever. A 14-year-old can do that. Okay, that is not thought. And the reason I get so frustrated with certain entities, whether it's the NRA or USCCA, other entities, is because a moron can figure out that you can't operate in a one-to-one model. You cannot operate long-term in a one-to-one model. You can't live in a world where you say, hey, don't worry, guys, we're going to be saved. We're selling booth space. Right. That is called a carnival. Okay? That is called a carnival. Right. And if you want to be a carny, be a carny. But if you think that model's sustainable in 2023, 2024, right. into 2050, you are fucking high. Well, go read Ready Player One.
Sure. When that's right, yeah. When John and I started this, his dad asked him the question, do you want to be a person? Do you want to be a persona? Do you want to be a training company and have your little corner of the pie? Or do you want to be an organization? And John said an organization. I always knew, even when I met him in college, that he had the legs to get out there and get the crowd. And some of the reasons people don't like our shows is because of the comedy. But then some of the people are like, hey.
Got to be serious.
Oh, yeah. We're living at a serious time. No, don't get me wrong. We've got to say some serious things. And some of John's YouTube videos are very heavy. We talk about heavy things. But the other side of it is we're bringing a lighter side. We're bringing some comedy. We're bringing some goofiness, which some old vets might not like. And I get it. No worries. But there's so much more that we can do. And not just our industry, America is ready for companies to step up and fight Amazon. And that's, we've got a lot of different pillars. We got our e-commerce side, we've got a manufacturing side, we've got our network side, and then our YouTube entertainment side.
We just have to, as an industry, boys, look at it as a larger entity. If we keep looking at it as skateboarding and rollerblading, we're going to fail every time. If we keep looking at it as secular, sure. It's hunting, and it's tactical, and it's this. It's the defense industry. And the defense industry starts with your body, your mind, your soul, okay?
Sure.
Which is what you guys represent, which I love. And then proliferates outward, being more capable, training, right. Okay? Every person that I've had on this show represents some form of training, right? Mm-hmm. So whether it's a bodybuilder, whether it's a mixed martial artist, whether it's a jiu-jitsu person, whether it's an outdoors person, whether it's like I mention it all the time, Rachel Balkovic, who's the Yankees hitting coach, you know, she's a trendsetter. She said to me, she said, John, I just want to be more capable. You know, I went out and I was at Sorinex and I shot some guns. I look at things like Bert Soren's doing over there and some of the exciting stuff that they're doing just by introducing people to some of these things. You are going to find many people that are going to be like-minded, that are going to think like you think. And let's face it, there's all different types of people out there. There's gun owners that are collectors. There's gun owners that are shooters. There's gun owners that embrace a training lifestyle, that like to train. But I bet you every dollar I got that person that embraced a training mindset and a training lifestyle is going to proliferate into all these different areas, the outdoors, all these different genres. They're going to eat healthier. They're going to train more. The days of the dusty buckle and boot guy with an NRA membership hopping out of the pickup truck with his belly hanging over his concealed carry are fucking over. Yeah. They're over. And if you have that type of mindset in marketing, or you operate that way, you're finished. In the days of just using, you know, I've had this conversation with companies multiple times. They're like, don't worry, we're going to do this ad campaign and we're going to have a sniper. I'm like, how much of the market segment does a sniper represent?
Right. And how do you color it? So Ryan Kleckner, our sniper, so we got a sniper too, so you can make fun of us. But he's so, you know, he's a lawyer. He's out there.
And there's a place for that. And don't get me wrong.
And we're showcasing him in a much more creative, beautiful way, and as opposed to just, you know, the Kyle, what's his last name?
Chris Kyle.
Yeah, Chris Kyle, sorry. The harshness of that, you know, but it was very poetic what you did, Brandon, with Ryan. So I think we've got.
I'd love to hear their stories.
Here, yeah.
Right.
I think there's a story there. I'd love to hear what they have to
I want to
say.
do that for Ryan and Craig Douglas and, you know, Diego and Tony. There's so much of their childhood I'd like to, like, how did you become this thing?
So backing up a little bit, I'm curious, do you think that this whole gun boom, like basically guns flying off the shelf this last year, and I feel like, is that going to sort of enable their bad habits, or do you think they'll actually take that money and now try to...
You're talking about manufacturers.
I'm talking about manufacturers. Sure. I'm sorry. Yeah, so you've been in some of these meetings now. Are they now saying like, oh, we got the surplus and we're not going to branch out, or are they just going to be like...
I think a lot of them. I think a lot of the owners, as you guys know, will look at that as that should be sustainable first, right? Mm-hmm. So they'll sit on their coffers, so to speak, and they'll be like, "What do you mean? We did 20% last year. We should do 20% this year." You know, they'll have that Scrooge McDuck approach. Yep. So I operate in the rule of a third, right? A third are going to operate with that mindset. Yeah. Another third is probably going to be willing to put some money out in the market. Like, look, we saved money on SHOT Show. We saved money on this. Let's put some out there.
That's a good point.
The other third is going to make the critical mistake of funding too many failing entities. And we've already seen this play out in bodybuilding and in other genres, okay? We've seen it play out in so many other spaces. They're going to say, oh, we have to support the industry. We're going to give a whole pile of money. You know, I had Tom Taylor on the show. I asked him flat out, I said, what's a good place for people to put their money? What's a good place for people to look at? And he's like, I have to think about that. I have the clip. You know, there's the problem is in our industry, you guys are first to market. So first through the door takes the bullets, right? So everybody's going to be critical and critique, and I would do this and I would do that. Fuck them. You know, do what you want.
They've been pretty gracious. We've gotten. I'm really surprised at the amount of non-trollery that we've actually gotten. You know, there's some.
Oh, when the lifeboats start running out, it'll come.
Yeah.
Be prepared.
I mean, it's been more and more, but.
Yeah, not enough content.
And there'll be a lot of guys who will go to brick and mortar type things. Like, I'll just open a store, I'll open this, and I'll do that, or I'll create the media myself. But they won't understand how to create sustainable models, and they'll try to lecture or they'll try to speak. And there's guys that are trying to go that route. I've seen it. But the reality is, it doesn't pay to be right. It pays to be first. And you have to be willing to be first. And if you're first and you can break through the door and you can knock down, you know, take this show here. I wanted to do for the gun industry what Joe Rogan did for MMA. Of course. And I've talked about that many times. I want to create something that people can tune in and they can hear a lot of people that are pro-Second Amendment, they're pro-America, they're pro their rights, and they want to come to a place where they can talk pretty openly about that and freely, and people can tune in and hear more of whomever's story, right, that they don't normally get, and create a larger platform for those folks. Now, part of the problem and part of the issue in the industry, to answer your question deeper with the manufacturer level, is the manufacturers don't really care about people's story. What they care about is selling. How do I sell another gun?
Right.
And the problem with that philosophy at the end of the day is, you know, this by sitting with a lot of companies, they don't have their own referral network set up. They don't even know what, when I sit with them, I'm like, do you guys have reversion? They're like, what is that? you know what I'm saying, Evan? Sure. They don't even know what half of these things are. It goes over their head. They don't understand what a paywall is. If you mention TikTok to them, it's like another planet, 100 miles away. So there's a lot of these companies that they just want to get back to, well, I want to talk about this MP5, or I want to talk about this, and they want to get back to that. And that's going to be the biggest hurdle to get over with them. So I think in the end, I think they will loosen up some of the coffers, but they're not going to understand it. And you almost have to have somebody in the boardroom that's like, look, motherfucker, you're not going to understand it.
And not to be arrogant, to be humble, we don't have much of it figured out either. We have,
of course not.
We have what we know, and we're constantly beating our heads against the wall going, how do we become more efficient? How do we push the boundaries of this? And how do we get more shows on the network? How do we grow this from here on out? And I think that's what people aren't necessarily doing. I don't think they're strategizing with first of all, what do people want? We have this kind of mindset in our industry. Let me tell you what you want. You want this new cool tactical thing to keep your family safe. And that's a great message, but there's...
What scares me, Evan, and it should scare you, is more often than not, I find that I'm the smartest guy in the room, and I'm terrified of that.
Uh-oh.
Terrified. I'm sure, Brendan, you go through this. I'm like, you're not understanding that this is where it's going. Like I said, to anybody listening that thinks I'm joking, go buy the book, Ready Player One, and read that. And if you think for 1 second that we're not moving towards that type of world, you are fucking high. Okay, we're moving towards that. It is 100% going to go that way.
Right.
And you're licking your chops because I'm right. It's 100% going that way. And if you don't go that way, like one of the most underserviced markets in our industry, hands down, is the Twitch market. Hands down.
Oh, yeah, and all the kids.
The gamer and Twitch market is tremendously underserviced, undervalued, and underappreciated. And if I'm sitting in a marketing room at any gun company, I'm like, we should be putting a third of our budget right now into that market.
A lot of cash there. A lot of cash.
Are you out of your mind? I've said it in boardrooms. I go, there is a kid somewhere on YouTube opening presents making $18 million a year.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm like, I've said it to companies.
Well,
I said
people are doing it in our industry, and they're crushing that. Mm-hmm. Even if you don't like what their message is. So,
mm-hmm.
And we actually don't play enough in that either. So,
but Brendan, you understand what I'm saying about the Twitch. Like you need to be where people aren't.
Right.
You need to be where people are not, and by that I mean, you look at the Twitch market, right? It's predominantly made up of gamers, right? That like to play first-person shooters, right? That's a huge underserviced market. Okay, imagine running an ad run in there or appealing to them because they're shooting a Smith & Wesson or a Glock or an MP5 or anything like that in the game.
Right.
Do you think there's a bit of a fear though that if I'm a manufacturer, like I want to stay away from that kid crowd because school shooting?
Yeah, there's all of
them. Of course.
Yeah.
So. But they're you're not. You have to separate two things, right? So it's one thing to say like you have to appeal to that market, right? And by that I'm saying you have to touch that market. Listen, let's not all sit on righteous virtues. Cigarette manufacturers were marketing to children and I'm not saying go that route.
Right.
But I'm saying if you ignore it, if you neglect it, what's the greater risk?
Right.
So we look at people, whether it's people in that space already doing very well and crossing over, and there are people that are doing it and having high degree of success.
Yep.
How do you not, as a company, like is the alternative like I have a brilliant idea, we're going to do an in-house video, like? I mean, and it just doesn't make sense to me.
Most marketing, most advertising and design is just copying. And I even see the big companies playing in the space, and they're all copying each other. And the commercials at the Super Bowl kind of showcased it. It's like they're all just woke commercials. And people are like, hey, where's the Budweiser frogs? Can we get back to having some fun here? So I even think even at the upper echelons, they're failing to become creative. And it's an opportunity for us, for our entire industry, for the right as a whole.
I agree.
Yeah. Get in there, throw some punches, make some fun stuff. Old Spice commercials used to be awesome. You know, where are they? All the AT&T, Verizon, they all have that one.
You can't show a man in a masculine image today because, you know, I mean, they'll be fucking hung, you know. Oh, look at that. Who does he think he is? He's trying to be a man. Oh God, you know, God forbid. I'm all for the woke culture. I say bring the woke Karens in. Let them go to work, let them make money. I'll sit home.
That's it.
Get me a woke Karen. I'm signed up. I'm in. Okay. I'm 100% in. Because look, see, here's the thing. This is why it's going to tip the other way. Women are getting all that they're asking for, and a lot of them don't want it. Look at the equality in sports and everything else that's going on. They don't want it. Oh, you want equal treatment and plus? Okay, fine. Hey, I identify as a woman starting today.
And I'm going to fight you in the ring.
You know, I mean, it's going to go the other way because it's going to the extremes. We're seeing it now. We're seeing segregation come back in.
Yes.
And why? Because it works for an easy narrative. Look how fucked up the country is. Trump did it.
Right.
You know, I mean, how long can you keep blaming him? The border's a mess.
Oh, they're going to try for a while.
You know, in the entertainment world and in the media world, you know, it's very frustrating because it's so easy to succumb to it. I mean, we see it even with the whole Gina Carano thing and everything. You know, we've seen it with other.
But see, that's an example of, you know, a marketing company, the Daily Wire, just crushing it. They saw an opportunity, they snagged it. They had the dollars and the infrastructure ready to grab that. And I want us to be that way as well.
Yeah. So. I mean, Dana White's killing it in the UFC.
Yeah,
he's fucking murdering it. You know why? He's just like, we're going to go forward. We're going to do what we do. And this is what we do. We're going to keep people working and we're going to produce what we produce. And people want to be entertained. I want to put a game on and zone out. I don't want to put an NBA game on and have LeBron James lecture me about how I'm supposed to act. And, you know,
Isn't that interesting too? Like, they're unapologetic about it. And they're rewarded with actual dollars and cents and attention. And
yeah, but it's not going to continue, Evan. I'm going to tell you why. The NBA is in the fucking gutter in terms of money coming in. The NFL's taking a fucking huge hit.
Like Dana and you know, those people. Oh,
yeah. They say he's past the NHL.
Oh, yeah, go. I'm excited.
Yeah, they say he's past the NHL.
The instant you apologize, you're toast.
Do you want me to tell you how fucked up this industry is? I'm going to tell you.
Let's hear it.
I had Dana White on this show. Do you know not one entity reached out to me for a clip? Not the NRA, not the USCCA. Not one of them reached out for a clip.
Yeah. Well, I want a clip.
Not one of them reached out for a single snippet.
Jeez.
Not one of them reached out to say, geez, we'd like to give him a membership.
He's worldwide. He's global, man. He's doing it on every continent. Right?
Why is that?
I don't know. You tell me. I'll tell you my answer, but you tell me what you think.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I think he's just so polarizing. They think they're going to lose their base, but they're losing their base anyways. He's hyper masculine to them. Scary. I don't know.
I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because they're so fucked up as entities, right? That it's an ego thing. Everybody wants to be the sun, and they want all the other planets to orbit around them.
Yeah.
Okay? I've gone to these entities. I said, you want the show? Take the show. You can have it.
Yeah.
Fact. I've said to them, dare they deny it? I've had people there. I said, you want the show? Take the show.
Sure.
Air it on your channel. These companies are doomed. These entities are fucking doomed. They are on life rafts right now, looking for land.
Yeah, you're right.
And I'm telling you, and if they think marketing is, I know what we're going to do. We're going to do a graphic, and we're going to give away a pouch. That's what it is right now. That's where they are. And the sad part about it is, gentlemen,
Yeah.
there's somebody making $150,000 a year with a pension.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yep.
Making that decision.
Sure.
And I want to be like, who did you fuck to get this job?
Well, there's something there. You got to really love what you're doing, and if you're in those positions, I've noticed this. There's not a lot of passion. You know, you're trying to make a salary. You're trying to make a paycheck, but
They got the nudes on someone.
They gotta have a vision, and that's where I like John's all vision. I love it. And then we're executing that, and we've got vision for branding and for videography, but. If these guys are just going, hey, let me share my old military career with the world, or the NRA is just saying, hey, we're going to do the same old thing, because we're the best at it, because we've always been the best at it, and they don't have just a deep abiding. I notice the left, when they come out with something, they are passionate about it, and I want us to feel that same way.
I sat in very prominent rooms where people were speaking. These were like, whether it's NRA or a USCCA sponsored events, and I'm like, why don't you guys stream this? And they're like, Brendan, I'm looking at you, and they're like, what do you mean? like I'm saying something like so crazy. I'm telling you, it's where their head is.
Right.
We're playing we're playing a simple game of checkers here.
Sure. We're always just like, there'll be something happening in our office that's just ridiculous, and we're like, gosh, I wish we had the cameras. There's just so much to shoot.
But for them, they don't understand that. Just get the content.
Get the content.
Yep.
Get the like what are you doing?
John says this a lot. He's like, there's just so many opportunities for us. Our problem is grabbing all of it. You're like, how do we rope it all in? How do we get enough people so that we can rope it all in? And there's other people seeing it, but it's hard to really.
But is it really hard? Like I just said, setting up a cell phone. Thank you, Brendan.
Well, no. The individual components of those steps is easy. It's easy to know what to do. But once it's as big as where we're getting, like we've got a lot of people. It's like, oh, even a small task seems a little daunting now. So I can imagine being on the outsides and seeing all that you need to do and trying to break that into component pieces and then execute. That would be a little harder to do. I mean, what you've built here is phenomenal, and
don't flatter me.
It's it's
stay on task.
Well, you still have that samurai sword up there. I'm gonna play with that before we leave. But it's simple to do, but actually getting the balls to do it.
Yeah, you actually have to do it.
Quitting your job. I mean,
that's the thing with the network. I think that why people haven't already done it is just they just didn't do it.
Right. Well, you quit. Quit your job running a hospital. I quit my job at AT&T being a creative director. John quit his lucrative job being a trainer, and I'm sure you have a similar story.
I've probably had 1,000 people tell me, I thought we should be doing something like this, and you're like, well, why didn't you do it?
It's funny.
Right?
It's going to be a huge wake up call, like I said, and we were talking about this offline, Brendan. It speaks to, there's a lot of people going to be scrambling, looking at what you guys did, and I'm telling you, this industry anoints a lot of false gods, gentlemen. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of false gods out there. There's a lot of people that are going to be like, oh shit, I thought I was somebody.
Give me like an example of that, because like, if you can, because that kind of thing I want to look at and make sure that we actually steer clear from. I mean, our industry definitely validates a lot.
He doesn't want me to name names.
No, you can name names. We know there are people that have a massive following,
sure,
half fake, by the way. And
well, that is a thing that we've noticed. Yeah, most.
So we actually have got into auditing following a lot. Even some of these followings are fake.
Don't try to steer the topic clear.
No, I kind of want,
because that does play into it, but I want to get to a bigger toxic problem. Because listen,
go on.
I'm not
going to name names.
He does.
I don't have to.
No.
Okay.
No.
I don't have. I
give
could
us a milieu.
So here's the problem with some people. There are people in this industry that are spokespeople of this industry that have never held a job in this industry, never done anything in this industry, never participated in this industry in any formal form or fashion, and they're literally just book writers, mug sellers, t-shirt sellers. Okay. Sure. And by that, I mean, they're not speaking from an understanding of where this industry comes from. And I'll give you a couple examples. Why is it every time Fox News, there's a gun issue that they put a Navy SEAL on television? Why is that?
Yeah. Optics.
Okay. That's the equivalent of me wearing Jordans and saying, I know what goes on in the gun industry, in the basketball industry. Right. Just because I'm an end user.
Sure.
I know about that. And I'm not taking anything away from a Navy SEAL, but does a Navy SEAL know about a piece of legislation that's coming down? Do they know how that affects the gun industry? Are they talking about the topics and how that affects the mechanics of the gun industry? I'd argue that they don't. Maybe Jack Carr does. I'll give Jack some credit. Maybe Andy. There's a few out there that might understand it because they study the game, but a majority of them don't. And believe me, for them to understand that would be a tall task. And I'm picking on those guys, but that is a systemic problem in this industry. We associate something that is bought by 90% civilians with one market. Right. Okay. So we do a lot of that. I'd like to see and hear from the Tom Taylors of the world. I'd like to see and hear from some of the key executives in this business. And I think we have to get to some plane where we're saying, okay, we're putting this person on a pedestal, but why? Were they ever a CEO in the firearms business? Were they ever a marketing director? Were they ever an executive? Did they ever walk a floor? Have they ever seen a lathe? Have they ever run a machine? Do they understand what this industry really is?
Yeah.
And who works in it? Do they understand what a real FFL owner is?
But that's news companies on both sides now, right? They're just putting
100%. I just said Fox News.
Yeah,
Right.
But CNN is no longer going to be politician. It's going to be celebrity, whoever.
Because they're trying to get market share, Brendan.
Right,
That's
right.
the angle.
Right.
That's the angle. Is if I can put, if I can put frickin' Nicki Minaj on, and I care about her, it's going to get me more viewership,
And I
right?
think
Cardi B.
that's a cool thing, that one of the differentiators, we're actually trying to affect cultural change long term, so that there's a healthier group of people that emerges. Because if we're just all doing this for the dollars, or the market share, I think we've failed long term. But I also
tell them.
I also don't think we'll eventually get the market share, and I think that's one of the things.
Well,
that counts.
it's when you're it's when you're dying.
Yeah.
You start seeing land, right? Like if you're on that lifeboat, you start like having these mirages pop up. Like, oh, I think I see land over there. Because you know what's going on in these boardrooms. My brothers, I was in on a conversation with a large entity in this business where they were like, they're like, we just need to have Donald Trump speak again or do an appearance, or we need to they're looking for like a life raft. It's like life raft after life raft after life raft. And there will be marketing directors that will listen to this. I promise you, when I share it on LinkedIn, I promise you that will listen to this and they will say, he's fucking right.
Right.
And there'll be people that are underneath them that will say, did you see that episode? Because I've had people message me that are junior VP, everything. Like, this is what's going on in those meetings. I bet you every dollar I got. Every single dollar. I bet you every dollar I got.
Who can we find? Yeah.
Every dollar in my pocket, that when you go in these meetings, right, they're saying, don't worry, next week,
Right.
we'll have
Cool.
this one on.
Yeah, it's a big stack.
I bet every dollar, put your money up.
This is Vegas.
I bet every dollar I got.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was such a thing as
Cash money.
a
anymore?
$50 bill.
Yeah, it exists. There's hundreds there. I bet every dollar I got.
I'm with you.
That's what's going on in these boardrooms. It's looking for a lifeboat.
And you think they're just looking for an individual to, right? Is it fear?
That's what happens when you become desperate.
Yeah. Because they're doing it with Elon, they're doing it with Joe Rogan, they're doing it with Trump, they're saying, hey, can we get behind this person and just follow them instead of taking individual responsibility?
Listen, Joe Rogan has a bigger market share of viewers and listeners. I don't have to tell you, Brendan.
Yeah.
You pale into the data. He's a bigger market share of listeners than half of those shows at night.
Sure.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
He's getting 5 million on what used to get 5 million on YouTube, right? That would
20.
Yeah. So, and he's selling ads on the old episodes.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? Can Fox do that?
No.
Can Newsmax do that? So the question shouldn't be, should we get behind this entity? The question should be, why are we not?
Right.
Because if that's what people are watching, the problem is, in this day and age, they want to hang on to their producer job. They want to hang on to their whatever cameraman job. They want to hang on to this and hang on to that. And it's just rinse and repeat the same idea.
So do you think we have, there's a lot of negativity in our industry where we're like, hey, the good old days of the Republic are over and we're just going down with the ship gracefully, or, what do you think about all that?
I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think there's a lot of people in this industry that would sell tomorrow.
Sure.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but I think, I listen.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you this: we're doomed when ammunition companies are getting together like a cabal to fuck over other ammunition companies.
Oh no.
And they don't want to put ammo out into the marketplace. And if you think I'm lying, okay. Who do you think drove up the bid on the Remington buy, right? Now, Remington and Winchester control half the ammo market, right?
Okay.
If not more, right?
By design.
By design, because Vista bought Remington, right? This is fact. You can look this up. Sure. Go look up who drove up that bid, and then call them and ask them if they're getting the components they need to manufacture. You think small ammunition manufacturers don't have capacity? Of course they have capacity. They lack components. Who has all the components?
Yeah, they do this in a lot of industries.
And you know what they're doing? They're fucking the end user. You think they care about the end user? They want to control the market. So we'll kill ourselves.
Sure.
You know, especially the way we even interact on social media.
And so do you have a message of hope too? Do you think there's light at the end of the tunnel for this?
Because
that's
guys
the
like
discussion
you
we're going through. Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely wanting that, but we hope we're not too late to enact that.
The hope is if we start to put people in positions that can have real conversations and that can be honest and upfront, not walk a factory ammunition floor and say, geez, I didn't realize hunters are the reason that we don't have ammo on shelves. And if people believe that, I'll tell them another story.
Yeah.
I got some sidewalk for sale.
Yeah.
It's not hunters and it's not preppers. And it's not the influx of new shooters that are causing this ammo scarce. We can create enough ammo for an entire fucking army.
A planet, yeah.
We are the most mobilized, mechanized country in the world.
I love it.
Yet, all of a sudden, for 9 months, there's no ammo. Come on.
Yeah.
Are you out of your fucking mind? And the same people that tell me I'm crazy believe in subterranean lizard people. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's fact.
Right.
I've had enough conversations. I could call 2 ammo manufacturers right now, and they could tell you this. John, I'd sell my machines because I have capacity. I just don't have components.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they do that in our, in our T-shirt industry, where Nike will go in and buy up a district so you can't get it the textiles.
So if I'm lying,
Yeah.
why did Winchester and Federal raise prices quietly at the manufacturer level?
Yeah. There it is.
COVID, right? It's a good excuse. So tell me we're not woke in this
Well,
business
there's
too.
so many things that
Hey, it's
magically came
it's
out of
COVID, right?
Yeah.
You cashed the stimulus check. People didn't work, so like.
Well, we struck while the iron's hot with COVID. We actually weren't going to release the network. John wanted to wait, and I think that was smart at the time to wait till January 1st or the fall. But we were like, hey, there's a captive audience. Let's go ahead and launch.
Don't get me on a rant, Evan. You're trying to change the topic.
Hey, no, let's get back on bullets.
I'm telling you, I could go all day. I could tell you where all.
Let's talk about the
See,
cabal.
I know where all the bodies are.
Okay.
And that's what scares
Bottom
people.
of the lake.
Something. Anyway, listen, I don't want to.
No, I'm with you.
I'm telling you, I don't want to fascinate you guys with industry lore, but I do think we're in some kind of trouble if we don't get it together quick.
I agree.
Yeah, we agree.
And we have to start to put people in the right positions, to ask the right questions, to have conversations. And it can't be this ticky-tack fluff stuff. Well, I don't want to insult them because I'm going to lose my free box of ammo. I don't want to piss them off because I'm going to lose my case of ammo.
Sure. Well, we'll tell people when John reviews stuff and like, hey, you might get a negative review on this. And most of them are cool with it, but will they if you really pull the punches and go after it?
Yeah.
So
John's a nice guy.
he's a nice guy.
He's a pussycat compared to me. Anyway, listen. I love you guys for coming in.
Love you too, man.
It's been an hour and a half.
Has it really?
Love's a big word, Brendan.
He loves you. I love you too, Brendan. I love you, John.
It's a big word.
We love you.
And I appreciate you guys coming in. Any big announcements from the WPSN?
Well, we got 1 year coming up, so that's a big thing. Yeah,
June
like a
1st.
year of
June
success
1st.
on the network.
June's my birthday. All right.
Oh yeah. I mean, so we got a few things coming for the summer. Excited about that.
Things.
Just 1 million. Yeah, a lot. Well, you can talk to that. Just hit 1 million on YouTube before we're canceled, and everybody recognize that when you help the network, you're helping us fight the whole world. The industry of left media types. We're ready to take them on. You can be a part of that. We got a bunch of trips.
Yep.
Yeah, got a lot of shows coming. Tell them about the shows, Brendan.
No, I think you're going to see a lot more shows coming. Probably within the next couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Announcements on some newer shows. We're looking to acquire shows. Not just we've been mostly producing our shows.
It's being cryptic.
We're
going
gonna
to keep some secrets.
Yeah, I
like
don't
it.
want to say too much, but I think you're going to see a lot
Dun, dun,
more shows. Maybe even some films
Yep.
soon.
Okay.
Hey, listen. Maybe we'll get a Snyder cut. Who knows?
Yeah. Snyder cut. That's a good idea.
We'll get a Snyder cut in
We
there.
also got a bunch of knives coming out, so we're doing manufacturing stuff. We started a manufacturing company. Soon to be announced. A lot of cool stuff there, but we're trying not to bite off too much.
Yeah.
Sounds like it. Listen, you guys are welcome anytime. I appreciate it. Love to do this again. Love you guys.
Hey, come to Atlanta too.
You're gonna learn.
Yeah, you need to come out. So we didn't even talk about our movie village.
Send the plane.
Our
There it
range.
is.
Let's leave something on the table.
Okay.
You can come out for your birthday. We'll give you. We'll
Do-do-do-do.
just,
Hey, that's a good idea.
Treat you.
The
Yeah.
one
Oh
year.
wow. Treat me. Listen, anytime.
Host you.
I mean it. Anytime. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate
Thank
you both.
Thank you for
And I
having
want
us.
to thank the WPSN network.
WPSN.
Did you come up with a jingle?
No, that was probably,
WPSN.
He
we
comes
need
up
a
with something
jingle.
on
If
top
you
of
could
it.
help us with that, we'd be
Yeah.
super grateful.
Oh fuck.
We could use
Listen.
your marketing advice.
Oh, you don't want mine. Mine's called blunt force trauma. It's it's honest and painful. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you coming in. Thank John for me. I look forward to what he thinks of this, especially as you guys give him feedback. And I love the network. Go check it out, guys. Go check out the WPSN network. We'll put the link down below. Go give them a follow. Give them your money. Go
Please
support
give us
them.
some money.
Give him money.
And I want to say we love our industry, and I love the fact that you're bringing tough love to these guys.
Yes.
because it's really for them.
100%.
We're pulling punches, but we're not pulling punches. But
I'm not pulling a single punch.
No, you're not. But it's for the greater good, and we love our industry. So
Yes, we do.
There just needs to be more open and honest dialogue, and I think we all can agree with that. And there
We'd
needs
love to
be,
work together.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that, 100%, and I'm open to it. I just hope that we don't wait too long. That's the biggest thing.
Yep.
So we're gonna thank the sponsors. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate these guys for coming out, and go check the links below. And I want to thank all the sponsors. Here's the reel.